Welcome to the FI Newscast, where we bring you relevant news in the food and beverage industry. Today is Friday, November 3rd, 2023. I'm Susan Choi, your host for this show. Today, we are going to be covering big topics in food and bev with one of our own, FI's Chief Content Officer, 𝗟𝗲𝘁𝗏. Looking forward to chatting with him later on, but first, let's cover some of the top stories from this week. We start this week with a look at job creation. ADP reported that U.S. employers added 113,000 jobs in October. The leisure and hospitality sector, which added 17,000 jobs during the month, had been leading the post-pandemic job recovery, but ceded this position to education and healthcare in October. Meanwhile, U.S. consumer confidence dipped in October, according to the Conference Board. The Consumer Confidence Index declined to 102.6. That makes it the third month of decline. Dana Peterson, chief economist with the Conference Board, noted rising prices for grocery and gasoline in particular were weighing down consumers. But perhaps the news from the Fed's Open Market Committee will help lessen any anxieties. They have decided to leave interest rates where they are, at the 5.25 to 5.5% mark. In a statement similar to the previous month's release, the committee says that they will wait and see for more data to come in before making any big moves on interest rates. Fresh earnings are out for companies across food sectors. Food service giant 𝗟𝗲𝘁 𝗂𝗲𝘁 saw overall sales for Q1 fiscal year 2023 up by almost 3%, and international food service sales up by 12%. Total case volume grew 1.6%, but local volume went down 0.1%. President and CEO 𝗟𝗲𝘁 expressed confidence in the company's outlook for 2024, pointing to its strength in profit, size, and scalability. Meanwhile, price hikes continue to play consumers for Kraft Heinz. Product prices rose by 7%, while overall volumes decreased by 5%. Rising prices in its meat category seems to have been the downfall in North American results for the ketchup master in its third quarter. Over in QSR, McDonald's is faring slightly better. Their move to strategize price increases produced an 8% rise in U.S. same-store sales for its Q3. Experts say that McDonald's continues to see growth because diners always see the company as an affordable option. And a quick transition from food to food delivery as DoorDash set records for delivery orders and revenues in its second quarter, seeing increases as much as 25%. In the tech category, as companies plow ahead with innovative methods, consumers apparently are not as enthusiastic to go with the flow. According to a survey by 𝗟𝗏𝘁𝘗 of 5,000 consumers, less than half said they felt comfortable with robots cooking their food. Only 50% said they would be okay with a robot server, and only 46% surveyed said they would accept a robot to deliver their food. However, the survey did point out that most of those who were receptive to robotics were in the 25 to 34-year age group, a demo that will surely increase with time. And when it comes to big changes, no one company is wasting no time. Walmart plans to spend more than $9 billion to modernize more than 1,400 of its 4,000-plus stores across the country. Upgrades include renovating store interiors and exteriors, updating flooring and bathrooms, more staff lanes and self-checkout lanes, and more options in the ready-to-eat food and beverage section. Walmart also plans to change up its pharmacies by building private screening rooms for consultations and making more use of digital screens and QR codes. The company estimates the process will take 2 years to complete. It tested this modernizing concept with one store in New Jersey, and the results were positive. Same-store sales rose by as much as 20% after the changes took place. And finally, yes, it's that time already. The holiday shopping season is coming upon us. And Amazon thinks it's got what it takes to handle the demand this season. It's planning on using data from its Prime members to create better targeted ads using generative AI technology. They have tools that can make background pictures for items based on their details. It's expected to be a boon for third-party retailers. And they might need all the help they can get for this time of year, according to a new Accenture survey. 2/3 of merchants surveyed said they have to make even higher profit margins than before, despite ongoing supply chain issues. We'll see what happens in due time at stores and online. And those are your top stories. Moving into our next segment, we want to take a closer look at some of these interesting issues that I've just discussed, from this generative AI concept to retail challenges. And of course, we always want to know the latest in food innovation, what is new, what is hot, what is coming up in the future of food. And to mine through these topics is FI's very own Chief Content Officer, 𝗟𝗲𝗁𝗂, who is the man when it comes to identifying, analyzing, and pontificating on all things food and beverage. 𝗟𝗲, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Well, you're far too kind, Susan, but yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Let's get right into it. Want to hear your insights on retail. Tell us, 𝗟𝗲, what are the biggest issues retailers are presented with as the holiday season comes up this year, 2023? As I mentioned in top stories, we seem to have a lot of retailers worried, judging from that Accenture survey. What are your thoughts on this? What are your insights?
Yeah, as the holiday season approaches this year, retailers really face kind of a perfect storm of challenges, you might say. According to that Accenture survey that you alluded to, which came out pretty recently, 28% of retailers say that empty shelves loom for them. And additionally, nearly half are focused on availability guarantees, but stocking products remains difficult for them, they say. So I will say, though, Relex partnered with Accenture on that survey, and one of their executives passed along, I thought, a pretty noteworthy bit of insight. He said, this year we're seeing people kind of being thrifty about the gifts they purchase, but they are showing a willingness to kind of splurge on food because they're excited for large family gatherings, for their holiday feast. And it sounds like that bodes pretty well for the business leaders in our audience.
That makes a lot of sense. It's reminding me to do some Christmas shopping early before those already empty shelves get emptier. Thanks for that, 𝗟𝗲. Let's move on into technology, AI. Everyone's talking about it. Artificial intelligence, companies are implementing it. And, as I mentioned in the top stories just now, Amazon is really investing in that, using what's called generative AI technology. Can you tell us more about that, 𝗟𝗲? Go into more detail. What's going on there?
Well, Amazon, which is obviously, needless to say, a really big trendsetter throughout multiple industries, really feels that generative AI will be its secret weapon, so to speak, this holiday season. And this week, the company said it's using generative AI to create better product images for advertisers, for one thing. The main benefit of generative AI, Susan, will be that it's got this ability to show hundreds of variations of companies' ads that are personalized to the user. So long story short, as we sit here in late 2023, AI is almost this overwhelming, kind of rapidly evolving form of technology. But if business leaders experiment and kind of dip their toe into the technology as opposed to diving in head first, it looks like they can really find some nice ways to boost efficiency, for example, with their business, I would say.
Now, AI, as much hype as there is surrounding AI, I know there's a lot of companies that are, fairly intimidated by the technology. Are there any legitimate concerns that business leaders should have as they consider implementing AI, into their practices?
Yeah, at the Food Institute, of course, we've spoken to tons of business leaders about AI, and there are some potential negative aspects to AI too. I think that business leaders should at least be aware of. For example, Susan, if you're using AI and platforms like ChatGPT to write a ton of your company's social media posts or marketing messages, I think before long, consumers might think that those messages sound a little generic or not authentic. And as everyone in the industry knows, in these days, and in this day and age, the audience and your consumers out there, especially young consumers, really are looking for authenticity from the brands they buy. So I think that's something business leaders should be aware of. But you do need to experiment with AI these days. And the best way to do that, I think, is just experiment with it and try to find ways to boost your business and aid your staff in terms of efficiency.
Right. I'm on the same page with that. Not letting the AI technology do the work for you, but really finding ways to, let it complement the workflow. Right. Thanks for that, 𝗟𝗲. And finally, on this topic of technology, it really dovetails nicely into what I am really looking forward to covering with you, the FI November report. 𝗟𝗲, tell us about what is the main issue that you guys are diving into in this month's report?
Yeah, Susan, we're excited about the new look of the FI monthly reports featuring more insight from CEOs with a bit more of a data heavy feel to it with stats that are really relevant to F&B business leaders. You know, what we're trying to do every month with these FI monthly reports is really help our audience, which is business leaders in the food and beverage industry, try to run their businesses more effectively, more efficiently. So I think our audience will really like this November FI monthly report, which takes a close and but fairly concise look at 5 food tech innovations to watch for 2024. You know, we're talking about super apps like WeChat, which has well over 1 billion users globally that basically offer every type of service to everyone, all within one app. We'll examine AI to combat food waste, like AI-powered packaging that can be used, and it can be equipped with sensors that monitor the freshness of food. Also, Apple's Vision Pro mixed reality headset looks like a product that's going to be really influential when it's officially released in 2024, and that could change the way that consumers order meals, for example. We'll talk about that toward the end of the report. We'll talk about the ever-expanding plant-based space and how companies within it are kind of looking to overcome challenges like consumer demand that's waning a little bit these days. And then lastly, Susan, we'll look at consumers' increasing focus on health and wellness products. You know, personalized nutrition has become a really proactive and interactive aspect of everyday society these days. And, you know, we started out with digital watches measuring our daily steps, and that's evolved into smarter watches and sleep rings monitoring everything from our heart rate to hydration levels and blood pressure. So all of these innovations that I just mentioned are things that we think, in theory, companies in the F&B industry could take advantage of in 2024. So it's an exciting time.
Thanks so much for that roundup. It sounds like a great issue. And I probably should point out that, you know, as nothing is for free, this issue is for members only. Is that right, Kelly?
Absolutely. As all of our FI monthly reports are. But as I mentioned earlier, we're really trying to provide insight from other industry CEO types and data that's really relevant to business leaders these days to help them operate their business better and more effectively.
Very well said. And just want to point out that, you know, if you are interested, if those of you out there watching, if you are interested in becoming a member, you can easily check out our website, foodinstitute.com. Click on Become a Member, and you'll see all the options for membership. I will also include that link in the caption of this newscast. All right. Well, Chief Content Officer of the Food Institute, Kelly Beaton, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for all the great insights. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Before we go, we're going to take a look at what's coming up in the food industry in the coming days. From November 5th to the 7th, the International Food Service Manufacturers Association will be having its President's Conference in Chicago, and the Food Institute will be on the ground to get you all the insights you need from this highly anticipated event. And on Wednesday, November 8th, B&G Foods Inc. reports third quarter earnings for fiscal year 2023. And that's our show. Thanks so much for watching. I'm your host, Susan Choi. Don't forget to tune in next week for another great episode of the FI Newscast. I want to remind you as well to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our social media channels. The support really makes a difference for us. Thanks again for watching. Have a great weekend and take care.